Good day and good evening, and welcome back to Men's Roulette stream with me, Chaiji, but you can just call me Kai. We're back to the usual, which means I have the wheel ready. We're going to be doing it the same way as we did last time with the wheel, which is I will spin the wheel, we pick the job that it lands on, and then we'll do duties on that job until we get something that is not a guild test, so that we actually get something interesting before we move on to the next job. Part of the logic, as I think I explained last time, is also that when I was like just going through each job, like, first duty done, next job, was because a lot of the time it felt like if I did that, there was a chance that I would actually get through all 21 jobs in one stream, and what would usually happen is, well, that didn't happen. I don't think we've done that even once. So instead of trying and failing that, we're just going to try and, you know, get an actual experience out of each job when we get it. Now, with that said, hey Taldemar, hey Lana, hey Shaq, hey Vince, hey Xeanordo, hey Naomi, hey Zaf, hey Ceres, hey Jen Monica, hey Lucas, hey Tina Lee, hey Ansa, hey Fila, hey Ilya, hey Daniel, hey Toby, hey Matthew, hey Liv, and hey Vespri. Hope you're all doing very well. Picture and guild test sounds silly. That is basically the gold standard we've gotten. Oh boy, picture, like you get something, a job that is pretty interesting, and then you get under the armor. It's like, wow, you have one button. Hey Fern and Volter, hope you're doing well. Right, so spin the wheel. Starting with Reaper this time. Wow. I will queue when it hits O2. Hey Frauko, hope you're doing well. Yeah, there was also something poetic about the fact that duty number 1000 was also under the armor. It's perfect when that happens. It's like Emicio, hope you're doing well. Also, fantastic beginning. Agent Monica's here. Woo! To be fair, my like I think I have like a over 30% chance, like average chance of a guild test in my count up. So the probability of getting a guild test as duty number 1000 was really high. And then on top of that, it being under the armor is like, I'm pretty sure that's the most common duty I've ever, like, in total. At least in my experience. Enox and Axis, hope you're doing well. Uh-oh. That stuns. Don't want to deal with that. Guild test savage. This particular guild test is also one of those where you actually have to kill everything. Which isn't always the case. You know, some of them, they just delete mobs when you kill the boss. Others, like this one, you can actually run past enemies, they'll reset, and then, like, you have to run back and kill them to get the clear. Oh, whoops. Nope, we're not doing that. We got a guild test. Let me just cancel that. Let's see what job is getting scammed. You know what? I'll write this one down. We'll just... even better idea is we just write this one down as the next one. How about I just do this? Then I won't forget, like I just did. Let's see. I'll queue when it says 05. Hey, Redmaster and Catfish Jr. Hope you're doing well. At this point, Redmaster, like, when I do the new Alliance raid, I generally just... like, I have gone through that not winning anything. It's like, I didn't want anything that dropped. And I didn't care enough to go back in. Animus Gaybolg. Nice. Yeah, I don't actually remember if I won anything either, Liv. But I haven't needed anything from it when I really think about it. Like, when gear drops that I could actually use, I look at the stat line and go, would I rather have this than the thing I already have? And I'll pass on if I don't like the stat line. So, like, I'm not exactly that particularly invested in getting gear. Sometimes I wouldn't mind the maiming boots, but I can manage without it. Yeah, for me, I basically don't care about the striking or maiming gear. Purely based on looks. That's also an idea. I make glam so rarely that I don't really care enough about it. It'd be nice for saving on uncapped tomes. That's true. That's the reason why I compare the stats. I'm like, do I actually want this item? Because I would rather spend the tomes to get a better stat line. So anyway, since we're waiting here anyways, a little question mark story time is I mentioned this in the schedule that there's this collab with John is Dead coming up. It was originally meant to be Thursday, starting at midnight my time, but there was a little bit of a scheduling error, which is why it is technically Saturday in the middle of the night, but you know, like actual time is Sunday, really, really, really early morning. So a little bit of a, like, that happens. But we at least managed to figure it out so that I knew before the week started. Oh, 11-minute replacement. Yeah. Oh, it's the new dungeon. We've finally done it. We found the new dungeon.
The enemy is at the gate. To arms, good soldiers, protect your kingdom.
It exists. Well, the last boss exists, I guess. Tasting error on Sin Plus. Hope you're doing well. And thank you so much, Sin Plus. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. Whee! We'll see what happens. It does look like the white mage here is not as well geared as the rest of the team. Just looking at HP differences between them and the red mage. I'm like, my gear isn't particularly impressive either, so, you know, I actually meant to set up that design there. Oh well. I'm going to guess it was a disconnect. I can't imagine it be something else. Hey Mitsu, hope you're doing well. I am doing well myself. It does appear the healer's a first timer, yes.
An amalgam of memories. Let us see how it fares.
I should have used Arcane Crest for that. In my defense, oh whoops, I can't remember anything very much from this fight.
Countless lives are lost in the senseless conflict. War swells in scope and intensity. The bombs rain down without pause or mercy.
Ow. So those moments where you're happy that you have a red mage.
Death is everywhere, heralding the promise of the future.
Yeah, I saw the safe spot, but too late. The only time I've done this dungeon has been as Black Mage, so I hadn't had nearly as many troubles with positioning. But you know, staying close when only like a fourth of the arena is actually it has a weirdly early snapshot, or is that just me? A recollection, that's a duty. Suddenly you gotta log in and actually focus. The Yazzle and Violet and Feela and Rust. Hope you're all doing very well. Now, we made the mistake of actually rolling it early. So the next one is Pixomancer. I'll queue when it says 22. Say Indiepix and Simp. Hope you're doing well. Simp says, any tips for someone new to Roulette? I did mostly old extremes unsynced. Simply put, just try your best. Best tip I can give is try your best. If you land in an extreme you don't have experience with, then when you are there, that's when you go, okay, well, I haven't done this one synced before. Does anyone else know what to do? And if the answer is yes, well, then they can explain to you what to do, and then you'll learn it there. And if the answer is no, well, either you'll figure it out as people pull, or that's when you start, like you open a browser window and you start looking it up. Start figuring out what the answer is. The problem is, you will not learn by, like, if you just put on, like, and watch a guide of every single extreme right then, you will not retain that information. You need to actually employ that information to retain it. So you need to just allow yourself to go in underprepared. The way that I know all these extremes by heart is because I've done all of them synced. In Mental Roulette, a few of them I did synced, like, in other contexts, but I've done all of them synced in Mental Roulette, and for the most part, that's how I know what to do. But the key problem, Axis, is that you can't do that. Like, anyone saying just watch a guide, Lamau, remember that you're doing Mental Roulette. You click Q and then you land somewhere. You don't know what you're getting until you've already been served it. There's nothing you can do to prepare yourself for that. And no, going, just learn all of them. Nope, can't do that either. You will not retain that information. You just won't. I will queue when it says 7. But the main duties you should expect that might be hard is, as Michio mentioned, a Realm Reborn extremes, Heavensward extremes maybe, and then Rathalos extreme are the common ones. And the key problems in order is, what you'll also notice with those extremes is that the players that you see that are clearly the ones that queued for it have a tendency to also be the ones that are the most clueless. They're the most likely to be bad at their job. And things like that. Because part of the reason... Oh, speaking of extreme! Part of the reason why they're queuing is because they don't interact with, like, the larger community as a whole. So they don't know that it is weird to queue for an extreme, so they'll just do it, and then they'll be surprised that, oh, this is actually really hard. See, the monk knows me. This one is also one of the better ones, yeah, because there's not that much to, there's not that much. Oh yeah, Taldamar's here, it's true. There's not that much to learn. A lot of it is just, like, relatively obvious things, you could say. Like, a lot of it is just pay attention. And there you go. The big problems is, especially in the final phase, if the tanks don't know what to do with the ads. Or if people don't know what to do with the jails. Speaking of which, I hope the other tank knows to move. Because, like, that's workable. We can make that work. But, they need to move. Possibly. I did not mean to press much there. That is possibly the dumbest way to die. Yeah, that's a whoopsie. Also, yeah, that we found the floor. Oh, Ilana's also there. And the game was like, wait a minute, you're not supposed to be here. Bye. That's amazing, Nox. I'm just saying, I noticed what you said right there. That was not me responding to you requesting it. But thank you for the super chat. That is fantastic. I guess something in the world said go. Something in the universe was like, well, you have to smudge. You gotta smudge. But yeah, essentially, as we talked about before, if you like, when you queue Mentor Roulette, you're not expected to know everything. I would say what you're expected, quote unquote expected, because you're actually not. But what I would expect of you, me, if my expectations hold any value to you, is when you queue for Mentor Roulette, you're queuing being entirely willing to give it your best try. That's it. So if you land in a duty you don't know, then all that's expected is that you try. And if you need to look up mechanics, you do that. You just start doing that. And if your party would be helped by you doing that, then you share with them too. Like, if you go far enough back in my Mentor Roulette series, you'll find cases where, like, I'm actually saying in the voiceover, I haven't done this one synced before. And simply put, as I put in my, I think it was the common misconceptions about mentors video, is if you think mentors are supposed to know every single duty that they're queuing for front to back, then remember how many extremes there are in the game. It's completely unreasonable to assume everyone knows every single one. Also, hey Melissa, hope you're doing well. The universe wanted you to have those €2. Also, hey Killer the Cat, hope you're doing well. And Sally, hope you're doing well as well. 5 crackers on Ramu Extreme. And yeah, the thing is, a lot of the greatest value you can bring as a mentor is also teach other players how it's done. And one of the things you can do is, like, you land in a duty you don't know, you show the sprouts how it's done by going, okay, no one knows what to do, I'll look it up. Like, that's also something you can teach your fellow player. I'll queue when it says 300. Like, all of it is fine. The one thing that I think is bad when you queue for Mentor Roulette is if you're going in not wanting to bring it. Like, at least be prepared to bring it when you're queuing. And I feel like that's not a... I feel like that's a fair thing to ask. Partly because that's also what I would ask of you when you queue for a different roulette. Although there's like this. There's limits. I can understand you queue for MSQ roulette and you're not really bringing it that much, but you know, at least use your buttons. Oh, Taliban's here too. I'll queue when it says 33. The most effective way to snipe me, I've learned, is also queue mentor roulette. Then there's a better chance you'll just land in the same duty I need to help with. I'll also say, in regards to getting into mentor roulette, the scariest part is indeed learning those extremes that are more common. And you have to learn them at some point. But you'll get there. Bruh. You know, this kind of experience would have been a lot more helpful Saturday when we were grinding. Hey, Cole, hope you're doing well. I don't know, we got the final boss in the new dungeon. We also had Titan Extreme, which we did first try. I managed to misclick Smudge. I'll queue when it says 12. Get that certain amount on Saturday? Yeah, I did. We hit 1,000, Gazel. I'm telling you, if we get 27 duties done tonight as well, just because we keep getting guild hests, that would be hilarious. You see, the funny thing is, I'm pretty sure that the reason why Under the Armor is so common is because, you know, people might be queuing specifically for Under the Armor, or people just don't unlock the rest of the guild tests. So adding more to it wouldn't do anything. Oh! Well, it's normal. It's normal Abyssal Fracture. I has dance partner. And Gazel is here! And Naomi is here! We also have... Wow. Yeah, the double snipe. Abyssal Fracture Extreme would be extremely cursed in Mental Roulette. Hey, Crabcake. Hope you're doing well. It's going alright. We've gotten a lot of guild tests, though, so far. Okay, we made it. I was a little worried that those dooms would not get resolved in time. Ishak, hope you're doing well. A really funny random fact about the Viper rotation is that, as you may know, it generates more, like it gets more than 3 reawakens per 2 minutes. But when you don't have Ouroboros, you get even more than that. Because like that's an extra 3 seconds or so that you can spend on generating resources per reawaken. You could get like nearly 2 full 1, 2, 3 combos of time per 2 minutes as a result. Or do you? Because you also get you get more resources, which then gives you more reawakens, which then takes that time away again. Uh-oh. Did the healer run off? The floor's very slippery today. In various places of the world, both in the Titan arena and here. Really awkward, that. In Necrophits, hope you're doing well. We've got a pretty high concentration of guild tests, but we'll manage. Hey Andrew, hope you're doing well. Big crunch. nom. Ow. I'm scared. Uh-oh. I think I'm dead. I feel like that was a you in particular right there. I actually waited because I thought that was the chance. I thought the opportunity was when the spread markers appeared, but then I was chased by other people, so I didn't even try. And then there at the end. Hey, FFXIV, hope you're doing well. You cleared, so dying was part of the strategy. Ah, the Galaxy Brain strat. I'll queue when it says 51. Time for more guild tests, yeah. It's guild test time. Two-minute replacement on Roulette Extreme. It's the classic. How many times must we teach you this lesson, old man? A haunted mask? Hope you're doing well. Extreme where people just like to run at Ramu going, brute force will work, right? Yeah, sometimes people do that. Most of the time I feel like people, like most extremes, I feel like if people do the run at boss, brute force will work. They usually get their act together when they wipe once. We have a problem. Yeah, the chat bubbles help a lot to see that there's actually communication happening. Hey Gothics, hope you're doing well. Isn't that the same spot that was on Titan Extreme? That sounds pretty normal, if they are. Looking good so far. This is usually the part where it's actually easy, so that doesn't say very much. That is still workable. You just need the tanks to keep level-headed and don't mess up the order. Oh boy. It's a hard one. Sorry for being so quiet. I'm dead. People are listening, but they are. Some players seem to not be getting crucial information because it hasn't targeted them yet, if that makes sense. The lesson that just because it doesn't concern you, quote unquote, you still have to pay attention. You have to, because you need to learn it now, so we don't have to teach you when we've already gone over it 3 times. Oh, one of our tanks disconnected. That's fantastic. I mean, it's not necessarily a case of not understanding, but if you've ever seen those memes of people just, you know, tabbing out while their raid leader's explaining mechanics or something, that's why you don't tab out while your raid leader's explaining mechanics, because you might miss something important. That is the reason why you pay attention, just in case. Oh no. We're going to have death. You see, it happened again there. Someone was actively avoiding hitting people with the blue circle, and then... If we wipe again, then I'll have to explain the blue circles thing. I think in this poll we had like 6 or 8 deaths to people not helping each other. Hey Bronto and GL, hope you're doing well. Looks like something went wrong in the tank department. Got tanks back up in time though. It might be fine. What's really scary about the ad phase is that the focus on other stuff often means that a lot of orbs gets accumulated. And each orb on the field increases the damage of the blue circles. I have not told the raid this because I don't think they can handle that information. It's simply better to not say that. Say, Bob, hope you're doing well. Oh, this is the fun one. This is going to get real bad before it gets good. There are not enough orbs. We're really behind on orbs. This is really bad. It looks like it might have resolved itself somehow. Okay, that works. It's almost like a freebie when it's a tank getting targeted by the tether. Because they need to tank switch anyway. Yeah, exactly, Melissa. You can actually get you can get rescued out to, like, if you time it just right as the healer, you can, like, have someone dodge the circle AoE, and then they'll survive another cycle, but you need to get it perfect, otherwise it does nothing. So you can. So an interesting thing here is that there was only one first-timer achievement. That is weird when that happens. Man, that was difficult. But they learned. Yeah, hey everyone that came in during that. Very difficult to lead a team through Ramu Extreme, but we can do it. Hey Kyrios, hope you're doing well. That's true, Kyrios, but that's also the thing. I usually ask if they want the explanation. Yep, Naomi, I can see you. And that's also true, Perrin. Hope you're doing well as well. And Mouse Plays, hope you're doing well as well. And it's very likely most of them might have just gotten the achievement unsynced. I'll queue when it says 45. The reason why I'm saying it is because last week we had a Leviathan Extreme where 5 players got the first time achievement. GL says people are pretty terrible at saying yes when asked if they want an explanation. That's true. Sometimes they also just say nothing. Oh boy! Garuda Extreme. I think the Bard is the Dragoon from the other group, and that Dark Knight is from the other group as well. I might be wrong. I think it's actually not the same Dragoon, because the Dragoon was a mentor. The double extreme. If the Satyrian plume is not killed, it's over. And that's it. That's also not right. That is just straight up nope. This is a wipe anyway. The rocks are broken. We will wipe to the raid wipe. They said that they wanted like just a short version and just wing it. Doesn't seem like that'll work for this group. Hey Kyrie, hope you're doing well. Hey Seraph, hope you're doing well. Excuse me, are people making bets on how many attempts we're going to try before we give up? I know Shihada's already dead. It's a principle thing at this point. He said okay. He actually said okay to the instructions. And then didn't do it. You know, a funny thing is, people always pay close attention to, oh no, the spiny plume, but you know what happens if you don't kill it quickly? Is it'll probably kill someone. I just realized I'm almost out of MP. Not quite free. Garuda's invulnerable until they actually kill Sabana, and I think some people were just blindly smashing on Garuda, not realizing that it's not going to work. Hey Dinky, hope you're doing well. Right, so who was it who was betting on us abandoning? Hey Nightly Valor, hope you're doing well. We've gotten 2 extremes in a row, but we've gotten a lot of guild tests. But 2 extremes in a row is usually pretty funny. Hey Paul, hope you're doing well. And hey Cat, hope you're doing well as well. Can't believe the party was disbanded after 2 polls. How's hey Eaterette, hope you're doing well. That's not a very that's not very cash money to make bets on whether we will disband. Just the principle of it. And also, it's a losing battle to do that, because if you know me, you know that I have 8 failed duties out of like 800. The probability of an abandon is extremely small, especially when we're still pushing. Hey Shackman, hope you're doing well. Exactly, Lana. Well, the thing is, it's slightly more than that, because out of those 800, only a certain percentage of them are are extremes that would possibly get abandoned. I will queue when it says 37. Hey Julio, hope you're doing well. Yeah, while we're queuing again, if you are enjoying the stream, it does help me a lot if you leave a like on it here on YouTube. That tells the algorithm this is an enjoyable stream and like other people to enjoy it as well. So thank you so much in advance. If we were just going to count the extremes, I think it's about 8% answer, but there's also the detail that I don't think I've had a failed duty in like 40 episodes of Mental Roulette. How many of those failed duties were people killing the turtle? I've actually never failed that duty on Mental Roulette anyway. All of the failed duties have been people giving up. Except like 1 or 2. I believe one of them was Sephiroth, where we actually timed out. And one of them was King Mugglemark, praise be, where we timed out. But I was also a replacement like 45 minutes in. It's like most of them were duties that were actually really hard, and rather a small percentage of them were, you know, us actually trying, and then like a much bigger percentage was like, I mean, if you're 6 players and no one's coming, and as you're funneling players, other players are leaving. I believe 2 of them, of the 8, was Nidhogg, and that was actually within the last 40 episodes. That was the cursed machinist one, where there was like a 5-man pre-made that would immediately, well, 4-man pre-made that would immediately give up and leave if anyone left. Like, stay, you hosted this technically. But yeah, if I wanted us to start making bets on whether we win or lose, I would have just used the polling system. I would have just said, hey, Aradel, could you make a poll real quick on whether people think we're going to beat it or not? It's that easy. And I should believe Aradel has the power to do that. A 48-minute backfill. Aradel says I can't make polls. You can't? You don't have the plus button in the chat menu? In the chat menu, it should have like a plus next to the heart where you can like blink emotes. If you can't, then, well, I would have to be the one doing it, I suppose. But the idea is still there. It would have been sanctioned by me if we were going to be betting on it. Otherwise, it's just not very cool. MSQ kill test. Yeah. Chaos erupts immediately. This is an awkward one to be Dragoon, by the way. We're taking shifts, Agent Monica. Mom said it's my turn with Castle Meridianum. What Pokemon type would Dragoon be outside of Dragon, obviously? Taking a page out of Howlucha, I would say probably Flying type. With all the jumping. And 100% Dragoon would learn Bounce. You see, the funny thing there, Answer, is either you take the angle of, well, Dragoon is supposed to be countering Dragon, so they should be Fairy type, right? Or you take the angle of, well, Dragoon is so Dragon inspired, they have to be Dragon. I'm just going to let the other party members do the AoEing. We have both a Scholar and a Paladin. They easily can deal with the AoE. Hey, Bing Bong! Hope you're doing well. Also true, Dragon is super effective against Dragon, and arguably, Dragoons aren't particularly well protected against Dragons. So, being Dragon type and so technically weak to it themselves might actually make sense. And so I think the prompt was because obviously Dragon would be in it. You know, the callback here is, of course, that in many a Mentor Roulette episode, I've just randomly started talking about what type of Pokemon a specific job would be whenever we roll the Mescure Roulettes. And then for surprisingly long time, we just didn't have a Mescure Roulette and we kind of got away from it. You know, Agent Monica, with how much Dark Knight was shown off in the Shadowbringers trailer, you'd think that it's a Shadowbringers job. But no, Heavensward! How time repeats itself. And you know what? Considering how they show off Paladin in the Endwalker trailer, you'd think Paladin is an Endwalker job. Hey Mason, hope you're doing well. You got any tips for new players? Try your best. Don't feel free to try what jobs you think look fun. Don't focus too hard on what's good, because everything is fine. Don't be too much in a hurry. Enjoy the story if you enjoy the story. If you don't enjoy the story, then, you know, remember it's fine to you know, cutscene skip and mash the story, like mash the dialogue if you actually don't care. But, you know, take your time. Julius, is any advice for people becoming mentors as well? If it's specifically in the context of doing mentor roulette, then it's one thing. If it's just becoming a mentor, then, like, it's a different thing. I actually have videos on what it means to be a mentor and things like that. The important part is just to try and be helpful. Just try and do your best to be nice and helpful. Be a good representation of the, like, be someone that people can rely on and possibly look up to. So do what you think is best in that regard. If it's for MSQ, for Mentor Roulette specifically, then I would say take note that you don't have to know everything. You just have to be willing to learn. So when you get a duty that you don't know, then you just admit it. And you just say, I don't actually know this one. Anyone else know it? And then someone else will probably tell you if they do. And if they don't, then you can be the one that looks it up so that you can figure it out together as a team. Again, just be the good, like be the good player, right? Or at least try your best. And the reason why I say all that is because technically none of this is a requirement to be a mentor, but that would be what I think would make you a good mentor. Say Ridley-in. Hope you're doing well. I'm glad to hear that, Stingera. Thank you. Well, specifically Necrophytes, that's only the case if you're doing a mentor roulette. If you're just, quote-unquote, just a mentor, then you might not have done every duty. I know, Ansa. Here's the thing. I don't care. I feel like it's almost, it's more fun to do the fight, quote-unquote, correctly. Whether you have to do a thing or not is a completely different story. But it does not surprise me that Cider would have gone, oh, you don't have to move. Fantastic. No worries, Anzo. In that case, totally fair. For a second, I thought you were like the implication being, why are you dodging? I'm just memeing, Ceres. It is like that is part a lot of the time the reason why I put in so much effort in a lot of duties. It's just more fun to do that. And I've seen some people go, I don't understand why you go into these weirdly excessive details about optimizing in a guild test. I can explain that the story is twofold. One half is I have nothing else to talk about. We get a guild test. And it's also funny to think about how much you can optimize it. Sometimes the optimization you can do in a guild test highlights like simple optimization strategies that only matter in very, very niche situations in a normal duty. Like sometimes it comes up like, well, how many GCDs do I need to do before like a Reaper's Death's Design is worth applying? In a regular duty, it can be really difficult to calculate because there's a lot of things. It's probably not very much, but when you're in a guild test, you can extremely quickly calculate that it's 2 GCDs. It's 2 GCDs. That's it. Hey, Poyo, hope you're doing well. And thank you so much. I'm glad to hear that. But yeah, I just like to over-optimize things, and ignoring a mechanic wholesale feels dull and boring to me. I will sometimes do it if, like, for instance, if we're in Castro Meridianum and my healer's just spamming Cure and I'm the tank, I will not dodge if I don't have to. I'll just take it, because, well, at that point, I'm making the most use of my healer by taking damage. What's the level range where Circle of Death is just better to spam? You mean, like, a Whirl of Death for a Reaper? Is that what you mean? Just trying to make sure I get it right. Hey Ashley, hope you're doing well. I have no idea what the world record is there. I don't even know if people keep track of it. There is no level range where Whirl of Death spam is optimal, because you learn the step 1 of the AoE combo first, and that does more damage than Whirl of Death. So basically, when you get Whirl of Death, there is a target count where the optimal rotation is Whirl of Death and then just spam your AoE. But there is no level range where just spamming Whirl of Death is optimal. In a very specific context, when you hit level 50, Shadow of Death and Whirl of Death, especially Whirl of Death, becomes extremely complicated because, you know, you get a kickback of resources when things die, so just hitting a bunch of things with it could actually be optimal. Even if it might not be optimal, like, raw potency-wise. Adult says 11 minutes and 53 seconds seems to be the world record synced. Oh, that was fast. What do you mean by that, Gothix? It depends on how much stone you were using, Gothix. But the sooner you address the elephant in the room of you should be attacking when you can, the easier it'll be to adopt it. So I don't see any problem with telling a healer who's strictly only healing that you should try and use stone a little bit. But, to be fair, there are some players that will, in any duty, get all uppity if they see that the healer's using Cure 1. Including a duty where they literally don't have anything else. Like, if they're saying you should use stone more when you're using Cure 1 because the tank needed healing, then yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But being told to use stone more if you're not using it very much is generally good advice. And the earlier you address it, the easier it will be to adopt it. And in lower level dungeons, it'll be easier to learn it because the enemies will be easier and won't be punishing your tank as hard, so it's actually more likely that you will actually be certain to find time to attack. So it's just easier to learn it early on. Using stone in AoE pulls is kind of negligible. It's not negligible. It depends on what you're attacking. Because a lot of the time, even in a dungeon like Sastasha, there will be a mob that is tankier than the rest. And in a dungeon like Sastasha, there are many jobs that straight up don't have AoE. Should the samurai also just stop attacking in Sastasha? They don't have AoE. Should they just sit there and do nothing? Because that doesn't matter. Don't think so. Don't think so. Like, Black Mage has Fire 2, but a lot of the time it's actually easier to cast Fire 1 because that attack will actually connect. See, that's the thing, Gothix, is that the way you're approaching this is the healer might not need to attack because the AoE is like, will do the job. It's not about whether the attacking matters for clearing the duty faster. It's about the Sprout having a chance to learn, to get used to the concept that if you don't need to heal, you attack. They could have just done 0 damage, and it would still be better to teach them attack if there's nothing to heal. And there's also the part that whatever the healer's attacking will die faster, which will remove damage that the enemies will be doing. It might not hasten the duty itself, but it'll actually reduce the amount of work the healer has to do defensively. How's that your stake? Hope you're doing well. But you see, I think, Gothics, that at the end of the day, we probably mostly agree, because that's also what I'm saying, is that the problem is that some people will make a big deal out of the healer not attacking, or not attacking very much, in a low-level dungeon. But admittedly, it is a lot scarier to be the healer when you choosing to attack when you should have healed could mean the tank dies, like that. It's a lot easier when you have like some fallbacks or some experience. But attacking, in general, is not a bad idea. And in a dungeon like Sastasha, most jobs don't have an AoE attack, so the white mage attack, well, the conjurer attacking the same thing as the melee DPS, if there is one, is going to kill that thing faster. If the healer's going to be like super sweaty optimizey, what they will do is that they will use their AoE, like they'll use their dot on every single enemy, and once they're done with that, they will just cast stone or whatever is healthiest, which will mean that they're basically reducing the grand total of HP. Which will mean that there's less need for AoE. Like, there is a way to make single target damage help with AoE. But I do agree that there are some players that will make a big deal out of healers needing to attack more when, like, the healer is attacking, they're just not attacking that much because it's Sastasha. If the tank needs healing, then they need to be healed, and the healer doesn't have any backup. Unless it, like, if it's an astrologian, then they have essential dignity, but if it's a conjurer, then they have nothing. If they miss time, if they misjudge, they didn't need to use cure, but they did, then the tank might die. I'll queue when it says 21. In a way, Nox, it's actually pretty funny, because on the one hand, it's easier to figure out when you should be attacking as, like, a scholar. But on the other hand, it's not, because as a scholar in a dungeon like Sastasha, the answer is pretty much always yes. You don't really learn what to look for. I'll say 10-5. Hope you're doing well. 10-5 says the world record Castrum solo synced time in rank. That's a confusing statement. World record Castrum solo synced time in random queue is 13 minutes and 3 seconds. So someone solo queuing Castrum Meridianum and getting a 4-man party is 13 minutes and 3 seconds. That is actually pretty surprising, because I feel like I've gotten like 14-minute runs at some point. Oh, I also agree, Gothics, but that's the thing, is that you don't go and explain all that. If the healer is just, like, stressed, spamming Cure 1 like you're going to die if they stop healing for even a moment, you just go, relax, calm down. If there's no healing needed, try attacking. And then you'll see whether they do or not. You don't make a big deal of it. As Sarah says, you say it once, and if they don't move on that, then that's fine. Hey, Avocado. Hope you're doing well. There's also the part, I would say, that sometimes in the pursuit of being super, super sweet to the sprouts, we over-exaggerate how quote-unquote bad sprouts are. They are human beings. They might not be as complete turbo sprouts as you might think. Parents is possibly a controversial opinion, but if you're finding you have nothing to do at any point in a given piece of content, you're playing the game poorly. Yeah, probably. The thing is, just real quick thing that some players might not realize is that certain MMOs in the past basically made it so that healers were indirectly punished for attacking or not doing nothing when they shouldn't be healing. That is a lot more rare now, because as it turns out, doing nothing is boring. I will queue when it says 41. So I think it's a generally good tip that if you're just doing nothing, then something is wrong. And you will probably see, you will meet sprouts here and there that will do nothing when they don't have to heal. The logic being that by being ready to heal on a moment's notice, they can heal faster. And they just don't realize that they spent 10 seconds doing nothing. And that's also why, in a dungeon like Tastasha, I would probably take that sprout and be like, okay, listen, you see how long it takes for me to die? All that time you have to figure out when you're going to cast Cure 1. It's also actually what you'll see in some of my healing guides and tips and such, is that I'll be, one of the tips I give is pay attention to how much healing your actions do. It becomes actually really hard to figure out how much healing you do as you get to higher levels, at higher levels where you rely on HOTS. It might be really difficult to determine exactly how much healing Regen does, because it does it over a long period. But when you're in Tastasha, you could just cast Cure 1 on the tank right when you spawn, and then be like, huh, Cure 1 heals for 300. And then you just pay attention to when the tank drops below enough HP that Odin, that 300 would do it. I'll say, Eric, hope you're doing well. Favorite healer? My favorite healer is probably Sage or Scholar. Astrologian is not as hard as some people make it out to be, but it is definitely probably one of the more involved healers. I would say somewhat shared with Scholar in some ways. But yeah, basically, there are some people that heavily underestimate how hard it is, and there are some players that heavily overestimate how hard it is. It kind of goes both ways. But I would also say, Gothics, just to round off on that, I'm not saying that if I see a healer that is just spamming Cure 1, my instinct is to tell them to attack more. But I don't see any reason to not tell them that. There's just a possibility that I don't care. It's possible that I'm be like, nah, you know what? They'll probably figure it out. It's really hard to sometimes determine. You'll see sometimes in my mental roulettes that I say nothing to someone who's clearly making mistakes, and then another player, I actually address it, and it often comes down to, are they actively engaging with me? Are they talking? If they're talking, then they probably read chat, and they can probably respond, and they're more likely to receive advice better. And then I will probably go, by the way, can I give you a tip? But if they're not, saying much, then I might just leave them to it. It's fine. I might address it if it's actually a problem, whatever the thing they're not doing is. But most of the time, I'll just leave it be. You'll see a lot of tips I give in my mental roulette videos that don't actually come up in the actual footage. I don't say it to the person there, because it's not important enough. On a different note, I'm kinda holding my feathers because I don't have like a burst. So I'm just going to sit on 3 until we actually need the burst damage for something. Which will be the DPS check at the end. I don't think we'll have trouble with that since we're a full team, but just in case, that's where we would need it. I really wish I had Curing Waltz or something. It feels weird that I don't. It's because it's 52. That would explain that. Oh, that's a fantastic timing of Standard Step coming up all on its own. I didn't even have to plan that. Very nice. That's a really good duty to be a dancer. You really get value out of the big bursts. Hey Harry, hope you're doing well. And I'm glad to hear that, Julia. Thank you so much. I'll queue when it says 49. Savage sleep? Oh no! And this is what's up with the Dark Knight 94 and 96 traits? Huh? What do you mean? Big potency? Affecting the same skills? Oh, well, I mean, the 94 only partly affects the same skills, but it is kind of funny. Isn't Warrior kind of like that too? Fellcleave gets a potency boost. Fellcleave now produces Wrathful. Good luck, Saras. It is actually funny in regards to the conversation about single target on AoE and such, is that there are AoE pulls in the game where there's one chunky boy that is so chunky that sometimes some jobs might benefit from single targeting the chunky boy for the overall party, clearing the pool faster and things like that. I'm not sure, Gothix. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, 10-5. I think one way to think of it is it would probably be a good idea to review how to approach the MSQ. Like, maybe they should make it so that you don't have to do all of it. Exactly, Grayson. Hope you're doing well. It's a good example. There are also some pulls in Endwalker, like in Lunar Subterrane. There's like some pulls with a big boy. Oh my! Absolutely, Avocado. Of course you can. Definitely. And yeah, that's also a good idea, Perrin. It's usually the times where you might benefit from single targeting. Oh, Marcus is here. You might benefit from single targeting the big chunky boy is like if everyone has been cleaving so hard that there's like, you know, the rest of the pack is about to die soon. Like it's often like a result of other things, quote unquote, going wrong. Not like super wrong, it's just, you know, people got a little too excited to cleave everything, and then it might be better to single target the big boy a little bit. It can also happen if like one mob happens to not be properly blobbed up into the big chunk of mobs, and then like that one will live for a long time. I'll say Lollipop and Betelgeuse. Hope you're doing well.
Show has begun.
Let's put on a lovely show for the audience. Submit to your lovely queen.
I don't wanna.
A vicious blow! Oh, that'll leave a mark.
Oh, whew. We only have one raid buff, so it doesn't matter that I freestyle a little hard here.
Hope you're ready for me to steal your heart.
Now to savor the sweet sting of Honeybee's charm.
Now, to savor the peelies.
Oh, she's definitely feeling your love. Can the challenger resist the irresistible? I know I can't.
Oh, whoops. Missed the time on air anchor.
Alas, her charms were not to be denied.
I don't know if I would have survived all that if I wasn't a mobile job like machinist. Got a little confused there. I might survive this.
Is everyone having a good time?
I might not survive this. I'll summon a... Marcus just gave me. gave me the rekindle. Thank you so much. That's very aware. That is very nice. The awareness to hand the heal you have as a summoner. Your single target heal you just happen to have. So who needs it? Huge plays.
Here comes our fearsome venom strike!
No hard feelings if I kill you?
Oh. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was gonna hit someone else, but I guess it just goes if the person is dead. That's hilarious.
Honeybee has changed her routine.
That's the Giga Brain strat. Oh, a stack marker. Just don't be alive for it, I guess.
Ooh, what a delightful battle this is!
Honeybee normal sack strat.
We're just getting started! Who's my obedient
No!
little bee?
That's yeah, I believe this works. Kinda. Not, I guess not really. But we are in deep trouble. That sage needs to do something extremely fast. Oh no. Crap.
Your support
I don't
means
know
the
if they just
world to
didn't
me,
rest
everyone.
anyone for all this time because they didn't consider it. But at this point, this is where like a minute ago you had to hard cast reses. There's a possibility if they can survive a little bit longer. On the one hand, I can understand why they don't want to heal LB while all that is happening. But I don't know, personally I would have just let it rip and then just let myself die if that's gonna how it's gonna be. That was a survivable wipe.
What a clash!
I get the impression that our Sage doesn't have limit break on their hotbars as Sage. Wow. The sad part about this particular wipe is that there were several points where it could have been saved.
Let's put on a lovely show for the audience.
But like there was just not very much attempt made to do it. The worst part being that
Lovely queen.
we could have seen hard-casted races going out when we were like starting to get into danger zone, but we didn't.
A vicious blow! Oh, that'll leave a mark.
But the thing is, something that is worth remembering here is that that's very easy for me to see. Or for me to say that Sage might not be as experienced as me. So while I knew exactly what needed to be done, they might not have known that. That's how things are sometimes.
Hope you're ready for me to steal your heart.
Inayo, hope you're doing well.
Savor the sweet sting of Honeybee's charms.
I mean, Perrin, the thing is, when they raised the tank, they should have, like, a whole minute prior, they should have just started, like, hard-casting a raise on someone. Like, just someone. Because they were, like, we were down, like, 4 people. And we needed those people for boss mechanics. And they didn't. Like, that's what went wrong, is, like, what really went wrong was that they didn't do anything when there was time to do something. But I knew that, and they didn't.
Alas, her charms were not to be denied.
I'll make you mine.
And the thing is, the hard-casted raise is like one of those situations you generally don't want to do. And that's also one of those... It's a little bit like the one I've explained about Holy and White for Pixelmans, where like some players get so caught up in the fact that it is technically a DPS loss over not doing it, that they will not do it, even when they need it for mobility.
Is everyone having a good time?
Kind of, Eyelid, but it's also worth mentioning that Phoenix Down doesn't work in this duty. So just to be clear, I'm not here saying, they should have done something. Well, I had something I could have done, and I just didn't because of my damage.
A little taste.
Also
to make
true,
it
Perrin.
interesting.
But it is just a general thing with it's dangerous to hardcast raise because it takes so long. But if you have like 4 people dead, then it is usually better to try it anyway.
Here comes our
Exactly, Cat. That is ultimately what matters most, is if they learn something from this, then perfect.
Feelings if I kill you?
Hey Percy, hope you're doing well.
What? Are you kidding me? It didn't work? B is for brilliant.
What's this? Honeybee has changed her routine.
Hey yes, Talker, hope you're doing well. Doesn't that require that you know the fight well enough to know when it is safe to hardcast? No! When that many people are dead, it doesn't matter if your hardcast of raise means you get hit by something.
Ooh,
Not really.
Delightful battle this is.
Like, sure, it helps a lot. But a lot of the time, if you just see the boss is doing this, and then you just cast it, there's a reasonable chance the boss won't have time to, like, queue up something new before you finish the cast. But even if you do time it wrong, it's better to try it. Like, I'm just saying, we were so deep in the slow wipe that, like, if they had tried to hardcast it and it led to a wipe, so what? We would have probably had wiped anyway. The Bartuelcon, hope you're doing well. And yeah, you could just start the cast, and then if you can't finish it because it's dangerous, whatever. You try, you move, and then you try again. It's just, it's so high priority when it gets down to the wire like that, that it is worth it.
It's all over. Until next time.
Hey Alden, hope you're doing well. That's also true, Gothics. That could have also done it. Possibly. Cat says, although seeing the entire group get ping-ponged from AP1 heal LB3 would have been really funny. Oh, yeah. Like, the thing is, I suggested doing that. It would still have been safer than what actually happened, I feel. Anyway, I'll be right back, and then we will continue. In the meantime, Manatee restored. Manatee, I need you to cure 2 my fever away. It's been 3 days. I hope it gets well soon, Lollipop Pizza. Monica says, Manatee of the chair, please give us your wisdom. Meh. Meh. Ha pa pa. Hey Kaiser, hope you're doing well. I'm glad to hear that, Alden. Thank you. Ninja time. Our Q says 50. There's another pink lizard. Indeed. I would say, Andriel, in a four-man duty, it's really awkward when that happens. But it could have been a lot worse. That's also the part of the reason why, if I see a tank use limit break in a dungeon for no reason, I usually assume that the first time it's an accident. If they do it twice, then I'm like, do they not realize it's a shared resource? Hey, treasure box, hope you're doing well. Yeah, Hawk Manor Heart is the one where the final boss will just wipe you if you hurt her too fast and the ads can't spawn in time. But if you just tank albeit when she's doing the like raid wipe, party wipe thing, then you will survive most of the time. So your strategies are either slow down or just tank albeit. It's really funny because it's not something a lot of people think about. I only learned it myself because people mentioned it to me when I started thinking about it. There's a Squeenix don't teach players LB. It's actually really weird because the closest they get to teaching players LB is Porta de Commander, where they hand you an LB3 and just go enjoy, but they don't really explain it to you. Womp womp. Well, at least we have two classes. There is actually an LB help tip on Sastasha, but it's too much is going... Yeah. Am I correct, Kaiser, am I correct in the guess that the LB help tip is a big text dump? Like one of those, like, big, just the help menu where it just explains it to you in text? And it happens during the dungeon? Is that correct? Zamia, hope you're doing well. He says yes. Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. Like, a key thing is that the game cannot give you a text pop-up help tip explaining to you what to do while you're in the middle of a battle. It just doesn't work. I will queue when it says 1800. It's like 3 to 5 help tips at once. Oh, fantastic! Exactly. It's like, how are you gonna read all that? The big problem there, Harry, is that once again, Hall of the Novice is optional, so you can't assume people actually learned it. It's better than nothing. Maybe teaching a solo duty? That would be an idea. Oh, wow. And Gazel is here. And Marcus is here. And Lana's here. Oh yeah, this is level 70 ninja. That's awkward. I'm just not going to try and do the mega opti level 70 Tenchi Jin shenanigans. Splash! Oh, right. Double O, right. Oh, no. Aha! Bonnie! Blizzard, 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 Blizzard. Oh no! Hey Isaac, hope you're doing well. Is there a point in going over 2 kunais? Basically, in lower levels, it can be handy so that you can stockpile some damage for a burst. At higher levels, the main reason is just that you can basically use it to make your rotation more flexible, because you can do 2 armor crushes in a row without it affecting your damage output in any way, in a negative way anyway. Unlike other melees, you can just choose to do a flank positional twice in a row. It's like, not necessarily any reason to go above 2. But because you can go above 2, there's nothing preventing you from doing it, and then you can, do 2 flank positionals when that's convenient, or do rear positionals when that's convenient. That's really what it comes down to. Would you not lose damage using 2 armor crosses in a row? Actually, the exact reason you don't is because you can hold more than 2 kunais. Oh, that's funny, Ilana. But specifically, you don't lose any damage by using armor crush twice in a row. The only time you lose damage, Isaac, is for each kunai you have like each Kazumatori kunai you have left over when the fight ends represents like arguably about 80 potency left on the table. 80 to 100, I guess, maybe 90. If we're going to be super strict, it's 100 per kunai because they could have done that. But because Armor Crush and, you know, Aeolian Edge is a little complicated. But roughly speaking, each kunai you have left over is 100 potency left on the table. However, if you have 1 or 2, I mean, that's not really very easy to do anything but that. Like, the alternative would have been using Aeolian Edge with no knife, and then it would have been better to use Armor Crush. But above 2, or if for any other reason you chose to use Armor Crush when you could have used Kazumatori-powered Aeolian Edge, that's damage left on the table. But it's not that much. It's essentially, you can take that same perspective on most jobs. Like, for instance, Viper, if you finish a fight with a coil in stock, that's lost damage. If you finish the fight with a Vice Wind already, that's lost damage. If you had a Reawaken, that's lost damage. The Kazumatori is kind of like that. Kind of like that. But technically, yeah, you could just go Armor Crush and then 2 Aeolian Edges and then Armor Crush and 2 Aeolian Edges. But it is convenient that it gives this slightly more flexible rotation. Because you can choose to do a flank positional twice, and then you can do a rear positional 4 times. Gunbreaker time. I'll queue when it says 36. Helps in high-end content where you might actually run out of True North. Yeah, there it could help. Most powerful ninja ability. Bunny. I'm just saying, if you're caught in a situation where you can't actually cast the ninjutsu you started, then the best solution is to just cast Bunny. At least that's funny. I mean, the stacking of fleeting Raijus kind of come naturally. Oh, 19-minute replacement. Where are we going? Alliance raid? Alliance raid. The thing is, Kaiser, I used, you know, I played in Shadowbringers, and I can assure you that the moment Endwalker came out, these raids started taking longer. It's not so much an item level thing, but they increased because the average skill level of people doing something like this decreased a bit. It's not meant as a slight against anyone, but that's usually what happens. The same thing happened when Dawntrail came out. Suddenly, the Endwalker Alliance raid started taking a bit longer. Isn't that funny? I imagine... I don't quite remember it as clear, but I imagine that when Copied Factory was actually new, it probably took even longer. But relative to what it took on release, it increased when the next expansion launched. Hey Ritsu, hope you're doing well. Bruh. Right in the middle of my burst. There's no point in attacking the small guys because 2P just deletes them. Yeah, I have no idea why. Like, my best guess is that the tank just, like, you know, they didn't have time. Because this group seems good. Hey Lou, hope you're doing well. I'm glad my guides have helped you. And also, I think I missed you early in the chat, Osteich, but I hope you're doing well as well. Yeah, that's also a possibility, Osteich. Like, that's what I mean, is that based on what I can see here, I can't see any reason why they would, like, choose to leave. But they might have just not have time. They could have disconnected. Nice, Aerodel. Here, far, wherever you are, you can join the Discord. Ow. Tank privilege. Just turn into a pancake in front of the boss, but I survive because I'm a tank. Hey yeah! Hey yeah! It's a male Vieira voice pack. Hey yeah! Hey little cat dog, hope you're doing well. This mechanic again. Oh no. Oh! We actually got it right this time. Fantastic. Yeah, I feel like a lot of the time that mechanic is somehow skipped. I'm not sure how. But I had the same experience, Naomi, that it's like, I feel like that mechanic never comes up. Were they dead before? Did they somehow slip? Is that a possibility? Can that happen? Oh, I see, Misha. That does explain a lot. What really makes it difficult with the greed on Phlegathon axis is people think that it is obvious what it is that determines that you can... The person that said no is literally here. I'm pretty sure they just didn't see the ready check. But the problem is that Phlegathon is difficult because exactly what allows you to get the damage in time is not as clear as, oh, we're doing a lot of damage. Like, the exact timing at which the mechanic begins matters. I am playing Gunbreaker, Lou. Blam! Side cannons, fire! Wham! Undock. It's fine, I didn't want that cartridge anyway. It's fine. The snapshot got me. Ow. Nope. Side cannons, fire! Blam! What's really scary about this intermission is, especially if you're Alliance B, is that a lot of the time, the players that don't know the fight will just swarm the one you're fighting. And if you don't get it resolved really fast, then you suddenly have 2 stack markers. Like, then they'll just zerk the one you're fighting, and then when that one is done, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's where my party is. The worst ones is when the tanks when the tanks don't realize that they have a job somewhere else. Here, Ryoma, don't be doing well. Bruh. Side cannons, fire! Oh no, he's gonna undock again. Bom, 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 bom. That's the saddest Pictomancer limit break. Pew. Uh-oh. Well, I don't actually need anything from here. Hi Gary, and I hope you have a good time with work. I think we can get one more in before Extreme that takes a full hour. Triple try stream when? I don't know. I don't know if it would be ever. LQ when it says 36, when it says 46. I think the key reason for that, Lucas, is that Zandoria does not need people. Like on reset day, those groups are gonna fill. They don't need me. Hey Ham, hope you're doing well. Crystalline conflict stream when? I mean, I used to make them. I used to do it. Actually, technically, the stream with John is Dead on super late Saturday, early Sunday is PvP, which is technically probably going to be a lot of Crystalline Conflict. So that's kind of a Crystalline Conflict stream. Oh, it's the tank from the Extremes earlier. Getting in my books, Max. Oh, nice. They shoot us. Books maxing. With this pace, we can do one more. Hey, Stav. Hope you're doing well. A wee and a woo. Is Garuda Ruin worth using at low levels now? I mean, it always was. It's specifically when you get Emerald Ruin 3 that it becomes quote-unquote bad. LQ when it says 55. Womp womp. Well, triple class at least. You're getting there. Yep. Red Mage is very fun, Lou. You should. Well, they got their stance eventually, so great. I'll queue when it says 30. Yeah, queues for duty. Why am I here again? I'm guessing they were actually reading the prompt when they were like it explained what the duty is and what you need to do. You cleared this in no time. I've been proccing it for weeks. Uh-oh. Oh, it's just hard. That's a decent one to finish on. Marcus is here again. Which I do believe is Cossacks. Hey, Emir, hope you're doing well. I don't know what you mean, I am pink, it's just that it's very green here. And one of the tanks will step out of that. Pew! The punt of wind. Ow. There you go. I mean, it's ironic that guild tests, which come up often in Mental Roulette, is one of the good ways to unlock Mental Roulette. You know, the funniest part about that is that it produces this strange symbiosis between people wanting to unlock Mental Roulette and people trying to quote-unquote finish Mental Roulette. Because some people will... Like, I've been told this, that this is a thing. I haven't met anyone that actually does it. But I've been told that it is a thing that some mentors, like spamming mental roulettes, will either have a friend do it for free, or they'll pay someone to just spam guild test roulette for an hour. And then they'll just, you know, try and snipe the guild tests with mental roulette to get it easy. And at the same time, someone could be spamming guild tests to grind commendations, and then, you know, the mentor can just spam the guild test. Eyelid says, sounds like a Mythbuster video. How would you make a Mythbuster video on that? It's the social aspect. You know what it takes for evidence like that to appear? You just need one person that has done it. I just know that it is a thing, enough of a thing that that it is something that has been shared around. Say which NATO? Hope you're doing well. Like, it's not something you can actually prove beyond, like, you could prove it. Like, I could just do it. And then I'll be like, yeah, I'm the example. I did it. And yeah, like, that's... The funny thing is... That is also what I do, Lucas, as you can see. Whenever I get a guild test, I instantly leave. I leave so fast that I'm actively trying to demonstrate that I don't give commendations. I leave so fast that it is... Like, they will probably know that it is me who didn't like, give them a commendation if everyone else did. Mia says, if I unlocked Mental Roulette, did that once and then came back to you with that, would that be proof enough? It could be, but it wouldn't be very good evidence, would it? As I said, it's enough that I've heard people say it. Like, most of the time when I get when I get a big heaping helping of guild tests, sometimes I've asked that question, like, why do people do this? And then people will say, actually, you see, and then you hear, like, I hear those kind of stories. Sip says, can you give me a clear-cut explanation on why you should let me energy drain? Can I give a clear-cut explanation why I should let you do something? What? Gothic says, do you think guild tests should be removed or stay? I actually have a video called something to the effect of the wasted potential of guild tests. My, like, express opinion on guild tests is that they could have been done way better. And if they don't do that, then why are they here? So essentially, I lean either direction between make guild tests actually teach something, or get rid of them. I don't care what is done, but one of them should be done. Thank you, Ardell. Sip, you know that my opinion on... Gothic, actually, Ardell just put a link to it if you want. Sip, you know that my opinion on it is that if someone dies, and you could have had a resource to save them, but you used energy drain, then that was not a good energy drain. So... I'm not going to give you that that blessing. Gazel says, I don't think guild tests should be removed. Getting improvements is welcome, but why remove them? I don't feel like they add very much to the game. And granted, it's better to have content, like bad content, than have no content. But my point is basically like a little bit exaggerated, Yazzle, because the opinion of fix it or delete it is also a way of saying it sucks so bad that me personally, I would actually rather not have it if it's going to stay like this. I would gladly get, like, in my position of saying fix it, I'm willing to lose it if you say no. That is, I'm betting the guild hests as a feature on the fact that I want them fixed. That's how badly I want them fixed. I would rather not have them than have them not fixed. Even though, logically, it's better to have something than not have something in that regard. It's just, guild hests don't add very much. And one of the most extremely funny examples of that, Axis, is that under the armor is a duty that is meant to teach you, like, here's a boss fight where ads come in. I believe Ham has demonstrated that you can beat under the armor solo with any job, synced obviously, while ignoring the ads. Solo, any job. Which means, why would you attack the ads? So it fails at it basically fails at teaching you the one thing it's meant to teach, and a lot of the guild hests have that problem. Most jobs needed to kite. I mean, it's still the same idea, Ham, that it could be done. Like, kind of the principle of the matter. It's a little bit like how I said, the Hall of the Novice duty. Let me see if I can find it. This Hall of the Novice duty, meant to teach you how to hold AoE aggro, can be beaten with only this action and nothing else. No tank stance, no AoE buttons, just this. The duty meant to teach you how to hold AoE aggro doesn't require tank stance and doesn't require the AoE attack meant to hold AoE aggro. It'll try to tell you to in a text, but you don't need it. I feel like that's also a failure. Like that's like, then the test isn't good enough, in my opinion. It's not easy. It's not trivial to beat it that way. You have to actually think a tiny bit, but it's not optimal when you can do that. So these testing grounds should be just tightened up a little bit. I don't know what they should, like, here's the thing. Make it so, like, just random example off the top of my head. One way they could make under the armor work is just increase the HP of everything. Just increase HP of everything. Also make them do slightly more damage. Like, just boost all the stats on the enemies by, like, maybe 20 or 30 or maybe 50%. That might be a little bit much, but you get my point. That's one solution. Another solution is just each ad that is on the field gives the boss, like, damage reduction. And it stacks quickly, so you can't kill the boss very quickly without addressing the ads. But I feel like that's, like, forcing the issue instead of teaching the players that, oh, the reason why you kill the ads is because they hurt. It's not because the boss says you have to. As AK and Mew, hope you're doing well. And Bits, hope you're doing well as well. Like, essentially, most of the guild hests, like, well, to be fair, some of the guild hests aren't trying to teach a very specific lesson. But some, like some of the guild hests are teaching a specific lesson and some are not. And those that are teaching a specific lesson do so poorly. Fix that. The ones that are, like, more, like, I guess, combined mixes of stuff, they could just be made more interesting. Like, I'm just, like, here's another funny example. Supposedly, in this one, Ward Up, Bird Up, the one with the 5 dudes where one of them becomes invulnerable, supposedly, if the fight goes on for long enough, they will summon a 6th bigger void scent of some sort. I've never seen it. Just a random example of how it feels a little strange. And I'm not trying to say make these skill tests like a real challenge. I'm just saying they are so easy that they can't even teach the thing they're trying to teach. Oh, hey Freelon, hope you're doing well. They should lower the item level sync for kill tests then. That's actually also a solution. They could do that too. However, you are aware that most of these skill tests, like the low level ones especially, are probably beatable in underpants just as easily. So I don't think it's an item level sync problem. I've also been told that these skill tests were just as easy when they were initially released. Lou says, what are guild tests? That's not a noob question. Funny thing is that a lot of players never run into them. They are an optional tutorial duty series where each duty tries to teach you something. As I'm explaining here, basically all of them fail at teaching the specific thing that they're trying to teach you. Very few of them actually teach you something, but they just barely manage to do it. And some of them teach you something that doesn't matter. For instance, Hero on the Half Shell is actually a slightly intricate quest where you have to like fight off enemies and then fight an enemy that you must not kill. And you can actually fail this duty by killing that mob. But I don't quite know what it is meant to be teaching you, because there's no real duty where this comes up again. Granted, that makes this an interesting duty all on its own. This one actually could teach you something about positioning, because players are randomly targeted with like persistent circle AoEs. But the fight ends so quickly that most of the time it doesn't matter. This one actually messes with your head, because the enemies are like semi-randomly named. The Chanters can heal, except only if they have a staff. And half of the Chanters have a sword and shield and are basically tanks taunting you. They're making you attack them by virtue of faking that they are actually healers. But this never comes up in a duty ever again. So like that makes this an interesting standalone duty, which would have been more interesting if it was harder and maybe a little bit more longer. This one is meant to teach you about debuffs that are removable, but they don't explain how you can tell that a debuff is removable, both because this duty predates the indicator that a debuff is removable. They could address that and have them explain it. But also every single debuff in this duty is removable, so you don't ever see a debuff that is removable next to one that is not removable in this duty, which I feel is like an oversight. That could have been done better. I feel like the remaining ones down this way are like mostly just duties, like just random tests. They don't like test something specific on you. Not really. Similarly, because they test you on something that doesn't come up again. So like they're essentially just a duty on their own, which is kinda, I think, part of the reason why Gazel was like, why would you want them removed? They're like their content. But the majority of the guild tests are not teaching you anything. Not really. And if they are teaching you something, they're not teaching you something like modernly relevant necessarily. Freelance says, quick question, where do we teach someone about the Doom debuff that's removed by full heal? We don't. A lot of things in Final Fantasy XIV are taught by boss does the mechanic, good luck. And then you just have to pay attention. And I think that's fine. The thing is, I'm not being like, guild tests should teach you these things. The thing is, it's optional content. It's the same with the Hall of the Novice, it's optional content, so we can't assume you know it. But if they put a tutorial in the game, it would be nice if it was good. So that if you have actually chosen to do it, you walk away from it going, I learned something. Parents' guild has to teach me how to be a pro level raider that's good at the game. Specifically. The final guild test should be an actual ultimate. And it should be mandatory content. And you can't enter Sastasha until you've beaten all of it. Joking. But basically what I'm getting at is that it would be nice if the guild tests were better at teaching stuff when they're there. It would be nice. And if the guild tests were more challenging, then people would also stop queuing for guild tests because it's so easy. Like, I'm just saying, my best reasoning for why I don't commend anyone when I do a guild test is one half because some people spam guild tests specifically to farm commendations and I don't want to support that behavior. The other half is that 99% of guild tests don't test anyone in a way where I could look at the team and go, that person actually demonstrated that they did something really good and I should commend them for that. Can it teach me not to be a nervous wreck doing dungeons? I don't think so. The only way you can do that is by doing a lot of dungeons. Eventually, you'll have done enough dungeons that it doesn't feel so scary anymore. Maybe this is a random question. Which NATO, do you have a driver's license? I'm not asking for the details. I'm just saying, do you have a driver's license? Guild tests should be trust NPCs only. I feel like if they actually made it so that the guild tests were like solo duties with like NPCs to help, that could make them better at focusing on teaching you something. Lou says, what's the point of farming commendations? Mainly just to become a mentor. Some people do it for that. Some do it to get the 3000 commendation mount. Which NATO says, yes, in that case, are you a nervous wreck when you drive a car? In that case, maybe you should start driving, Zip. Oh, there you go, Freelon. We were actually just talking about that as a possibility earlier. Which NATO says not really. Were you nervous when you were driving, when you were new to driving? At first, yes. Exactly. I imagine what changed is that you ended up driving a lot, you built up experience, and eventually you went from your first time driving a car to your 10th time driving a car to your 100th time driving a car to I don't even know what number. And at some point, you get confident enough that it'll probably be fine. That's how you get away from the being a nervous wreck when doing dungeons with other players. That's how you do it. You just have to do that. Just do it until it stops being strange and unusual. Azel Dragon, hope you're doing well. I can also say that I never stopped being nervous driving a car. And I haven't driven a car in years now. Losers, is there a perk to being mentor? Not really. If you are in party with a Sprout, then there's a slight XP bonus for both of you. But aside from that, the only benefit you get from being a mentor is that you can join the novice network at will, if you want to. And if you have done the prerequisites, you can use the mentor roulette. And yeah, the main driving force behind most mentors farming the mentor roulette is this. Yeah, that makes sense, Witchnado. It's just about the general principle of the matter that you will get less nervous as you get more experienced with something. It's not a particularly fancy mount, but it is a mount. Here she is up. Hope you're doing well. But I'm just saying, the main driving force for me doing mental roulettes is actually entertainment. Which is why I get disappointed when I get a guild test instead of a, oh, free duty completion. Although, eventually we'll hit the 2000 here. And that'll be that. Anyway, speaking of, that was 19 duties in 3 hours. Meanwhile, Saturday, it took 6 hours to do 27. How strange. And yeah, we're over halfway. I might start counting down rather than counting up. Anyway, on that note, I think this is a good time to wrap it up. So, if you enjoyed this particular stream, it helps me a lot if you leave a like on it here on YouTube. That tells the algorithm this is an enjoyable stream. I'd like other people to enjoy it as well. So, thanks very much in advance. And if you'd like to be part of the Discord community server, there's a link in the chat right there where you'll find a lot of the people in the chat right here. You'll also find the weekly schedule where you can see what else is coming up in the coming days. I usually update it Sunday and Monday. You'll also find the announcement room with links to videos and streams when I put them out. And if you grab the reminder roll in the role assignments room, you get a notification whenever I post a video or stream, as well as an extra one around 15 minutes before stream starts so you can catch it right when we go live. And if you'd like to support the channel even more directly, you can become a member of the channel, you can gift memberships, you can use the super chat system, or if you don't like any of that, there's also the Ko-Fi link for that Ariel posted right there in the chat. It all helps support me and the channel directly so I can focus on doing stuff like this with all of you. So thanks so much for the support. But thank you so much for the super chat, Mia. Join the cult. Join the cult. Thank you so much, Mia. But that'll be all from me tonight. So good night, good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending where in the world, and hope to see you all very soon. Thank you so much for supporting the channel for 17 months as part of the Cult of the Pink Bronto. Thank you so much. I'll see you all very soon. Bye bye.